All right, everybody,
All
how
right.
you doing? This is Robert Rivera with Who's On First, and we have a special guest, Joe Goldstein. And Joe is the Big Apple president, correct, Joe?
That's correct, Rob.
One of the founding. Did you found it, or
No, I came later on. Big Apple was started in 1972, and it's just been going on now for 6 decades. We went through a few changes over the years: Howie Engel, Jack Meehan, Joe Lieber, and now myself.
Okay? And for people who don't know, Big Apple is an umpire association. How many umpires do you have there, Joe?
We have about 175 umpires.
How many leagues do you cover?
18 different leagues.
Okay, wow, it's a lot of leagues. I was fortunate to be one of your umpires at one point. I think I umpired about 2 years for you.
Yeah, remember those days, the good old days? And then, you decided to pick up and leave us here in New York and start a better life in PA.
That was really, really fun. So what got you started into umpiring, Joe?
Well, Rob, many years ago, as all fathers do, they want to coach their son's baseball team eventually as they get older. So I figured the best way to do it was to be on the field as much as I can. I had a cousin of mine who used to umpire in Marine Park in Brooklyn, and he says, "Why don't you get involved?" And I said, "Okay, let's give it a shot." And for 2 years, I was a Marine Park umpire, and then I moved to Long Island, and my son decided not to pursue his baseball career, so I stuck with the umpiring, and that's how it all happened way back when. And I love it. I've been doing it for 32 years now, and no regrets at all.
I know. Right now, you're a little short on umpires, correct?
That's correct. Just a pandemic of its own, if you want to say. No one wants to umpire. The young generation does not want to get into officiating. The only kind of people we're getting to joining our classes are guys who are 35 to 55 who still want to be part of the game. Maybe their son is aged out and he's gone to college, or he's finished playing his men's leagues or softball leagues, but he still wants to stay involved in baseball. That's what we're getting, inquiring about becoming an umpire.
It's funny because right before this interview, I was watching the Mets game. Everybody sees it behind me, the Mets and the San Francisco Giants, and they're playing. And right behind home plate umpire, there's two gentlemen there. They're full uniform with a mask on, and you can see him. You can see him right there. Right. You can see him, and he's doing the hand signals. He's pointing. He's all over the place. It's just too funny. You ever had anybody behind you make believe they were the umpire?
Everybody stands behind, the cage, the backstop, and everybody thinks they can call a better game than you. But anytime anybody wants to switch spots with me, I'll be glad to sit in the stands and watch and critique them if it's so easy.
That's right. That's right. I had a gentleman one time during a championship game, and I didn't realize he was a gentleman there from the community, and he was calling the game behind me. He called it a ball, and I called it a strike, and then all of a sudden he goes, "Yeah, strike." A couple innings later, he called one a strike, and I called it a ball. And he yeah, okay, all right, yeah, he fixed himself. At the end, it was just funny because my partner was like, the guy was behind you calling all the pitches just like you were, and I think you messed two of them because he had changed a couple of his. You could see he was an older gentleman. He was a really nice guy. The champions had an extra medal, and I told the coach, I said, "Any way I can get that medal?" He's like, "Yeah, well, you're going to take it home?" I said, "No, I'm going to give it to this guy over here." And I gave him that medal, and man, he put that on, and he was strutting like a brand new dad. It's just like he was like, wow, he was amazed. Yeah. But he thanked us, and it was he knows it's a hard job, and that's why he was like, yeah. He goes, I'm watching you. One day I want to umpire a game, and I was like, wow, that was really nice. Big Apple has a good history. And you lost one of the great ones there, Joe Lieber. It was before. What did Joe mean to you?
Joe was a mentor. When I joined Big Apple, he was one of the top umpires in our group. He was a college umpire, and he was old school. And, you had to abide by some of the old school rules, taught us to be on time, which meant to be there 30 to 45 minutes before game time. Discuss things with your partner, be responsible, represent the game of baseball, because that's what we do. We represent the game. Make sure that you talk to your partner at all times, go over everything you need to do, and have a post-game meeting after the game to see what you could have done better for the next game. And that's how we all got better. When I went to Big Apple umpiring class or school, there was 35 guys in the class. And Joel took each and every one of us under his wing, and we all worked with him at one time or another. He was, quote unquote, our big brother back in the day, and we learned from him. And Joel was meticulous. Not everybody could be a Big Apple umpire back then.
Yeah, that's totally true. When I was looking for an umpire association coming straight out of pro school down here in Florida, a lot of people wouldn't give me a shot. A lot of people were intimidated by me. Joe said, "Okay, let's see if you cut the mustard." He goes, "Maybe I'll take you on." And my first game, I umpired with him, and he did the bases and I did the plate. He critiqued me up and down. It was constructive criticism. And he said, "Listen, I'll give you a call in a couple of weeks and we'll see if we can get you some games."
Absolutely. And that means you made it. If he critiqued you and he made fun of you, that means he liked you.
Yeah, absolutely. I was the lucky winner of the 2004 Big Apple Turkey Award, which I still hold dear. I have
one too. Wait, let me get mine. Hold on. A little older than you. I have mine is 2002.
What'd you do to earn yours?
You know what? It's way back when. I probably did something really stupid on the baseball field, but that was Joel's way of showing you if he made fun of you, that means he liked you. Every time we had our annual end of year dinner, his goal was to make fun of everybody, whether we had 50 guys or 75 guys or 10 guys. He had to make fun of everybody.
Right. I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at?
Right, exactly.
And it was always constructive criticism. It was always, "Hey, I want you to do better." I mean, if he didn't want you to do better, you wouldn't get in the games. It's just that simple. All right. So if you had an umpire today, what would you take away from the game?
Well, unfortunately, the game has changed tremendous. You see a lot more travel programs rather than intramural programs. Unfortunately, I think that the travel baseball has really hurt the intramural program. Kids are not developing as they should have been 20 years ago, 30 years ago. All these kids now are just playing on travel baseball teams. You can't walk an inch on the baseball field without getting videotaped by somebody. Any call gets disputed. It's just a completely different game. You have to be on your best behavior. You can't say a word. You can't do anything. You just got to call balls and strikes. Between innings, just walk into down the first base line and hold your mask and get ready for the next inning. It's a completely different game.
Yeah, I've been out of the umpiring realm for a little bit, and I went into player agent into a little league, and pressure to get their kids scouted.
Yes.
The pressure to get somebody looked at. And when I told the vice president of the league, I was like, "Who in this league needs to be scouted?" And she says, "Well, this one, and this one." And I went and looked at those kids and I said, "Listen, there's no way these kids are going to get scouts. There's just no way." And I was like, and not saying they're not good baseball players. They're good baseball players, but they're playing against kids below their caliber. And I'm sure if you put them on a travel team, that home run or that triple that they hit, it'd be a long fly out. You know? And it was so insulting to the league officials that they were like, "Oh, Robert, you don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, I think it's time for me to bow out. I appreciate it. And, I wound up leaving, and they do whatever they do, So, I mean, I understand where you come from. Everybody thinks that their kid's going to be a major leaguer. Their kid is going to be, the next Mike Trout or Fernando Tatis. And I get it.
They always think that way.
Right. And maybe there is a handful of kids out there that are going to do it. But I mean, the competition is so tough. So tough,
You know what they're doing here in New York, Rob? Doing 8th grade showcases, not for major leaguers, but for high school coaches. Because here in New York, the public schools versus the private schools versus the Catholic schools, everybody's vying for that young ball player. So they're having 12 and 13-year-olds try out to go to get picked to go to a private school rather than a public school.
Oh, wow.
That's what it's come down to. Yes.
The showcases that I've done were 16, 17-year-olds,
No.
18-year-olds. I never heard of a 12-year-old showcase.
Absolutely have that. Yep.
Wow. That's
at 13 or 14, kids are not even developed yet. They can't even, how do you know how good they're going to be?
Well, I did cover the Cal Ripken 8U World Series over here, and
That's great.
I tell you, the caliber of ball player that I saw over here, it was hard to fathom that 8-year-olds can pull off double plays. Um, I,
Well,
I saw,
when you have, you know what? When you have the best 8-year-olds from your whole town playing, you're going to get 12 very, very good kids at any age level.
yeah,
That's
these kids were pulling off double plays. I saw a kid, they hit the ground ball to short, the shorts picked it up, he double checked the kid at third, and then gunned down the kid at first. The
right.
first baseman comes up throwing because the kid from third took off once he released the ball and throws the guy out at home plate. The catcher makes a hell of a pick and tags him. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. These are eight
That's
years.
right.
I'm like, oh wow. It's amazing. But I mean, it's a testament to the managers and coaches nowadays and to
Yeah,
all the technology that they have access to, video
sure.
cameras and these things you put on the knob of the bat and they swing velocity and angles and all this stuff.
That's what it's become. That's what the world. That's our baseball world has become now.
Yeah, everything's what's the name? As Brian Kenny say, everything's a statistic.
Yes.
You can look up anything, you know.
Yep.
So what has baseball taught you in life about life?
Well, basically, I mean, it's responsibility. It's to be, neutral. You have to put up with a lot of different stuff. Most of all, like I said before, it's just responsibility. You're the judge, jury, and executioner of the game. You make the determinations. You have to have thick skin. It's a whole new respect, and to get respect. It's respect to players and coaches, and to earn the respect of those same individuals by doing a really, really good job. And that 8-year-old game that you saw, to them is the 7th game of the World Series. So you can't lollygag any game, because every game that you do is important to those two teams at that particular time.
Yeah.
And you have to be professional at 8-year-old level or 18-year-old level or 80-year-old level. You have to be a professional, because that's really, really important to those 18 kids on the field playing baseball at that time, and the coaches.
So I mean, this is your association. You're the owner and CEO, president. What advice would you give somebody who wants to start an umpire association?
It's become a very, very well. What's happening is the umpiring game, so to speak, has changed. The landscape has changed. The umpiring assigning business, or any business, basically comes down to money, and the underlying factor is the money, and everybody's out to take someone else's league so they can make money, and they recruit umpires to make money.
Right.
If we did it for the love of the game, we'd umpire for free, but we don't have that luxury. It's become a real cutthroat game. The umpiring groups have kind of shrunk. Here in New York, we have just a handful of really, really quality associations that are large enough to handle a lot of different leagues. And I pride myself, as far as Big Apple is concerned, to make sure our guys are the best trained, best looking, and most responsible umpiring crew out there. And that's my job. If I don't do that, then I failed as the Big Apple president, plus their instructor as well.
Right. What do you think of the baseball replay nowadays?
I don't like it at all. I don't like it one bit. Listen, we're all human beings, and being a human being, you're going to make mistakes. I don't like someone sitting in New York in the replay booth with a super slow motion camera, and the guy is, safe or out by 1/4 of an inch, and overturning that call. There are some egregious calls, don't get me wrong, and those umpires should be reprimanded or under review quite often if they continue to make, calls that are questionable. There are really, 99% of the umpires in the big leagues do a great job, and we make mistakes. It gets magnified.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I don't understand as an umpire is that the players are allowed to wear and do certain things, and that affects the outcome of the call. I'm not an advocate. I know you see now base runners, they wear that special glove on their hand. And believe it or not, it gives them an advantage of sliding into second base or third base.
Okay,
I don't like that at all.
that's a good thought. I never thought about that.
Yeah. And I don't know why replay takes so long. It takes, 3, 4, 5 minutes. It slows the game down. Already it's a slow game, and it slows it down even further. And it loses a fan appeal when they have to stop and they make a call. That's just my opinion.
So I'm sure as an umpire, you've been struck by a baseball. What's the worst you got hit?
I've taken some flush shots right to the mask. Part of being an umpire, get expected to be hit, because foul balls you can't control off the batter. In the field, if you position yourself properly, getting hit, I think I got hit twice while I was in the base paths, in the C position, as they call it, in my 30 years. Thank God I have cat-like reflexes to get out of the way. Just like you, Rob, you got those cat-like reflexes that move right out of the way.
Oh man, I got hit one time, and I'm still upset about it, because we were told this is what happens if you get hit. So never get hit, and you're not allowed to get hit. You're only allowed to get hit with permission, and we don't give you permission. It was in the C position, and it was a shot hit right to my left, and I went to my right, and it hit the mound and just dove down underneath my feet. Well, I went up, and it caught me in the back of the heel, and it went towards the third baseman. Well, we had runners at first and second with no out, and I called time, and the third baseman was like, "No, I got the ball." And I know what it hit me in the back of the heel, and everybody advances the one base. Oh man, oh, that was 10 minutes of, oh, come on, Blue. Listen, man, I did everything to get out of the way. There was nothing I can do. I went up, I went to the right. I don't know. I said, I didn't even know how it caught me, but it caught me. And I was till this day, I'm still upset about that one. I pride myself on not getting hit in the field, So yeah, it does happen. And that was one of the things that, I learned in the school. They would say, hey, listen, you paid all that money for this equipment, and show it to the ball. Hey, hit me here. If you're gonna hit me in the equipment, hit me in the mask, hit me in the shin guards. Don't hit me in the belly. Don't hit me in the thigh,
Oh, the thigh. Yeah, the thighs are the worst spot, and the forearms, because there's not a lot of padding on your forearms.
Oh,
thighs, you got a little padding on the thighs, but that still hurts. Black and blues for days.
Yeah, I made the mistake of umpiring with my ring on.
Oh boy.
And I caught one in the finger there. And by the time I got home, it really swelled up really bad. And my wife got nervous because the fingertip was starting to turn blue. And she's like, we're going to go to the ER. We went to the ER, and they were like, listen, we're going to give you an injection. We're going to put your hand in soaking water. And if it doesn't start, going down, then we may have to cut the ring. Well, my wife starts yelling, cut the finger, not the ring, cut the finger, not the ring. And I'm
Absolutely.
like, what do you mean cut the finger, not the ring?
You see where you stand in her life, right?
Yeah. The ring, the ring was more than my finger,
That's it.
All right, yeah. So I mean, in Big Apple and in being in New York, you ever had to stop a fight?
Actually, we did one time. And again, it's never with the kids. It's always with the parents. There was a play at the plate. The runner just totally barreled over the catcher, and the catcher was the smallest kid on the field, and it flew him like 3 feet in the air, and boom, he landed. And the father of the catcher comes running out, wants to attack the kid. And then the parents come out, and both coaches came out of their benches. The parents came out of the stands. And me and my son happened to be doing the game. It was a night game, and I never forget it. And we had to be a police officer, and we had to grab this guy and that guy, and punches was swung at, and thank God nobody got hit. But it was just chaos, unnecessary. When we could take care of it. There's nothing on the field that an umpire and two teams can't handle. But when you get that extracurricular stuff with the parents and the fans, that's when things get out of hand.
Yeah, sometimes it does get out of hand, and the parents and the fans are, they get a little too crazy with it, because once again, their kid is going to be the next Tatis. He's going to be the next, Aaron Judge. He's going to be that major leaguer that's going to be there, and you're interrupting that. I had that situation also, and unfortunately, I had my wife with me, and I told her, hey, get to the car. get to the car
Yeah.
because I don't know what this is going to wind up happening. And it was a batter that turned back on the umpire, home plate umpire, who was an older gentleman, and he got in his face. And then as I was coming in from second base, I see my partner like falling back, and all of a sudden he hit the ground, and I was like, "What the heck?" And I got in between him and the home plate umpire, and I was like, "Don't you ever put your hands on him?" And he like poked him in the chest and pushed him. I mean, the guy's 67 years old, and he shoved him down to the ground, and it really, really infuriated me, you know. And it was one of those situations where my wife was just like, and I was like, "Listen, get to the car, get to the car." I was like, "We're gonna leave in a minute," and I wound up standing there in front of 7 guys that were ready to
Crazy.
pummel this guy, and I was like, "What are you guys doing? Are you guys nuts? I mean, this is men's league. This is nobody." I said, "Nobody's gonna go to the pros here. Like, what are we doing here?" And it's unfortunately it does happen, you know. But I mean, yeah, the best games. What about the best games you ever had? I mean, you ever had like a 3-pitch inning? You ever had a call a shutout?
Well, what my fondest memory, I was lucky enough to do 2 championship games for the Publix PSAL. First one, I did the plate at Old Shea Stadium in 2000, I think it was 8, before they moved to Citi Field. And just in 2019, I was lucky enough to do first base in the championship at Yankee Stadium. And those are really, really thrilling games. Just being part of the nostalgia of both fields, where, you know, Tom Seaver and Babe Ruth and Derek Jeter all, you know, are on the field, the same field that you're on. It's an indescribable feeling. You know, it's just great. And
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to do that. You know, even last night we did a game at a Field SUNY Maritime. It was an all-star game, a fundraising all-star game, and it was the best all-stars from New York City versus the best all-stars from Long Island. And it was a great game, and it raised a lot of money, and I was proud to be part of it. Dwight Gooden was there last night. We took a bunch of pictures with him, and it was a great night all around.
Yeah. One of my moments was a little league game. 12-year-old, he threw 3 pitches in an inning. It was a ground out and 2 pop-ups, and I never had that. Never had that. Yeah, it was amazing. And then the better part about it, his grandfather turned out to be a really good friend of mine, and he recently passed about a year ago. But I still remember that kid. I still remember Matt Denning, and he pitched 3 pitches and 3 up and 3 down. And it was I got the ball for him, and I told him, I said, "I want you to keep that baseball. That's a great gift for you." Where he wound up playing for Penn State at one point. And Penn State University. Yeah, he followed his career a little bit. So I mean, it's when you see stuff like that. I never got a no-hitter. I did get a couple of triple plays. Have you got a couple of triple plays a couple times?
I think I did, not very many. I think I can remember one, but that's about it. It's just few and far between. You know what? I got to tell you, I probably did a couple of no-hitters, but to me, I'm not paying attention to the score or the amount of hits. Right. I'm just zoned in on what my job is doing behind the plate. That all of a sudden it's the 8th inning or the 9th inning, and the guy says, "This guy's got a no-hitter." I'm like, I don't know that. I have no idea. And and then the kid gets a base hit. I don't think I've been involved in a complete 9-inning no-hitter or 7-inning no-hitter. I think we've done it up to the 6th inning, and somebody got a hit inevitably, and that's it. But I have no idea. I never know who got a hit or who didn't get it. I just kind of know the runs and where we're at in the innings.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you got enough to worry about, let alone no hitters. And yeah, I get that. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all that stuff.
Yeah. We don't have nice scoreboards in New York like you guys have in Florida. You know what
I mean? That's because they play all year round around here.
That's right.
But yeah, they play ball all year round. All right. Well, listen, I got a curveball question for you. So yeah, you get to umpire in the show, right? And you get to pick your base. Where are you going to umpire at?
Oh man, you got to be home plate, man. You got to have, if you're on the biggest stage on the biggest show, you got to be the man. You got to be the man. You know what I'm saying? There's an old saying that plate umpires drive Cadillacs and all the umpires don't. You know what I mean? You got to be there. You got to be you got to want it, man. You want that crowd oohing and ahhing on every pitch. You know, again, you make that decision, 3-2 pitch, bottom of the sixth, whatever it is, you're going to make that call.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
got to be ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the games I've been to, especially like championship realm and stuff like that, they fight for the plate. You fight for
Sure.
the plate. And I was at a district championship game, and I had done plenty of them. And there was 3 umpires. They're just fighting, and they finally came up with this straw thing. And I'm like, guys, I don't care. Put me anywhere. Well, they finally come back. I go to the bathroom. I come back, and they turn around. They say, "You got third base." I said, "I got third base." Okay. I was like, rocking chair. All right, no problem. You know how many plays at home? 0. You know how many plays at first? 2.
0.
You know how many plays at second? 0. You know how many plays at third? 18. I was like, what the heck is going on over here? I was like, you guys got me running all over the freaking place. And I was one over my head. And then there was a slide. The kid slid in, and the third baseman tagged him. And I called him safe. And then I see the kid move, and he tagged him again, and I'm safe. And then the kid steps off, and the third baseman tags him again, and I bang him. Now you're out. And he was like, no, Blue. I said, he never asked for time. I said, sorry. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, they ran me ragged at third base, and I'm sitting here going, I'm thinking I'm going to be in the rocking chair, and you guys, I wound
you
up.
never know. That's the great part about baseball. You never know how many calls you're going to get. That's why you always have to expect the unexpected.
Yep. And I also had a state game where I was at first base, and I was literally bored.
Yeah.
And it was exciting. It was great. It was boring. It was just boring. I had no plays at first base until the 6th inning, 2 outs, and they hit that bullet to third base. Third baseman comes up throwing, and hit a tight play at first base. And I waited, gave it the old, okay, he's out, and then whacker, boom, he's out. And my dad was in the stands, and he said everything got quiet.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, when I did the whacker, boom, he's out, they were all like, whoa, and it was just the eruption. And I was just like, wow, and it's funny because like he told me afterwards, but I was in the moment, and I didn't even realize that even happened. And it wasn't until later on that somebody had shown me the video, and you could hear it, like everything got real quiet. And then all of a sudden the eruption, wow, and you're like, whoa. Yeah,
but that's a feeling. That's a great feeling to have, where 200 people or 300 people are waiting for your decision.
Right.
That's it. That's, same thing with a ball and strike call or any call. They're waiting for you to make that call.
Well, I mean, it's like, and that's one of the things that attracted me to becoming an umpire, was that in baseball, we strive to be perfect. We always want to go 4 for 4. We always want to pitch that no hitter. We always want to steal every single base. And you don't have that success rate. You know what I mean? But as an umpire, your success rate has to be in the hundreds, has to be 99.9%.
Right.
So it was one of those where I'm like, wait a minute, I always strive for perfection. And this is somewhere where I can really do it. And, I've had games where people come out, hey, Blue, great game. And I'm like, hey, okay, thanks. And I go in my car, and I'm like, man, I could have moved like this, and I could have done like this, and I could have done like that. And it was a self-critique. And it was one of those things where, you always want to get better. You're only as good as your last call.
And every game is different. I don't know about you, but me personally, depending on the pitchers from the first inning, I might give them that outside corner. Mm-hmm. Where the game before, I just didn't get that feeling because the way they were throwing the ball. So every game to me is a different, setup. And that's just the way I feel. I go into a different game, and I look at the teams, and I watch the pitching, and I see what's happening. And if a guy's thrown on the outside corner, if he's the Tom Glavine nicking the outside, I'm going to give it to him. And maybe the game before, the other pitcher might be a fastball pitcher throwing the ball right down the middle, and it's a different way of umpiring.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Every game is a little bit different.
I see behind you have Thurman Munson there.
That's my man. That's my man. He died one day before my 18th birthday.
Wow.
He died August 2nd, 1979. My birthday's August 3rd. I just turned 18 that day after. I remembered vividly. I know where I was. I knew, what happened, all of that for the next 3-4 days with Bobby Mercer getting that base hit on that Monday night game.
Mhm.
That was great. Yep.
I was in Cooperstown in 2019 when they had inducted Holiday.
Right.
And they had a Canadian crew there. And they said, this is one of the first inductees to die in a plane crash and this, that, and the other thing. And the guy was just talking. And after they turned off the camera, I said, hey, can I ask you a question? And he says, yeah. I said, you say Holiday died in a plane crash. And he's like, yeah, he goes and he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. I said, there's another guy here that died in a plane crash and got inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he just looked at me strange. And I'm like, yeah, Roberto Clemente.
Right.
I said, it was one of my heroes. And I was named after him. And he was just like, oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And I'm going to give you another one. I said, I'm going to give you another one. And it's a guy who's not in here, but should be in here. And it's disgusting that he's not. And I told him, Thurman Munson. And you see the saucer eyes. And he goes, wait a minute, hold on. And he gets a pen and paper and he starts writing it all down.
Right.
And then the next little episode, I hear him talking, well, we found Roberto Clemente and there's also mention of Thurman Munson and blah, blah. And I said, wow. And I told my brother, I said, look, this guy owes me a steak dinner. Like,
you made him look like $1 million.
Yeah, I said, I gave him some news feed there and he get a little education. And sometimes they don't even realize it. Sometimes they don't report it or they don't see it all,
Right.
So what'd you think of the Field of Dreams game?
It was a great game. I think they did all right with Kevin Costner coming out and the guys coming out through the cornfields. The game ended great. As a Yankee fan, I was disappointed. I was happy when Judge and Stanton both hit home runs in the top of the ninth, and disappointed, that Zach Britton gave up the home run in the bottom. But it was everything that everybody wanted it to be. It was great. It was a show, and they put it on, and it was a baseball game in the middle of that show. You know what I mean? And it was great. And they're going to do it again next year. They already talked. They got the teams already for next year. I think it's the Reds,
Cincinnati Reds, and the Cubs.
Yeah, they're playing next year. So for all those fans, they'll be very happy. And I'm sure they can't wait for that next year's game.
My money was on St. Louis and the Cubs.
Yeah, that would have been a better game, right?
I think St. Louis has the better fan base. Not saying that Cincinnati has a bad fan base. Don't be upset, people. What I'm saying is that Cincinnati, the St. Louis Cardinals fans, they will buy that whole stadium up.
Oh yeah, they travel very well, and against their arch rival, the Cubs, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was lucky enough to be there, so I made it there. I got there for day 1, 2, and 3, and went back for day 4, but they wouldn't even let you down in the road there because they were disassembling everything. So nobody was allowed in there, but it was a great time. And the Field of Dreams, it was great. The Iowa people, the people in Iowa were great. So, all right. Well, Joe, listen, thank you. I appreciate you being on. And Thurman Munson for the Hall of Fame. Hopefully somebody will finally recognize the man. And
I hope so. He deserves it. He was the heart and soul of the Yankees in the 70s.
In 2019, when I was there was a group there that had a petition going on, and I remember signing it. And like I said, it's a shame. I really think he should have been in there. And let's see what happens. Maybe one day.
You never know. Yep.
We never know. Maybe him and Pete Rose are going into the same induction.
Possible. Yep. Absolutely.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
And remember, everybody, keep on swinging, keep going ahead, because every swing, every strike will get you to that next home run. Thanks.
If you like the show, please do me a favor. Subscribe. Right. You see it? It's right there. Subscribe, share, like, and don't forget, put that bell on. It'll ding you when I put something else on, all right?